Okay, so let's go ahead and let's do this. Let's dive into settings, picture settings, and video settings for both PlayStation 5 and Series X on this LG C10 2020 television. And this television right here, it's highly recommended for the next gen consoles and even a PC. It's truly a fully packaged television that has a lot of accolades to give you the best possible experience on your next gen consoles. Alright, so first thing first, we are on the PlayStation 5 right here. We're going to go through some of the information here, and I'm going to explain a couple of things. Now, a lot of you are asking about the color output, the color format, and in this case, PlayStation 5 has two various different options. It has the 422 chroma, and then it has RGB. And you can see down below here, you can see the different HDR frequencies and non-HDR frequencies. 422, it's a usually used for a 10-bit television, ultra high definition 10-bit television, and it's also being used for movies, 4K UHD Blu-ray movies, because 4K UHD Blu-ray movies, they're encoded to 24. You see right here it says 24 Hertz. That's pretty much where your movies are going to be. But we're talking about video games, right? Majority of you are going to be using your PlayStation 5 to play video games, right? You're not really going to be watching movies on it too much. Okay? So the great thing about PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, they both output full RGB range. Back in the days, on the previous consoles, like PlayStation 4 Pro, on the Xbox One X and One S, they were limited range, meaning that they were only limited to 422. Okay? Yes, you can force RGB and 444, but the chroma is not going to be correct, and the refresh rate of that 60 Hertz is not going to be consistent, so there's going to be some issues. But now on PlayStation 5 and Series X, we got a fully capable RGB, HDR color space, which is 444. Okay, that can utilize 444 chroma. So remember, most of the time, the full range, it's going to be 444 on RGB, and on a 422, it's going to be mainly limited to 422. I hope you guys are not getting confused here. Basically, what I'm trying to say in other ways is that this is the reason why you want to use a PC mode, because the PC mode, when selected, for example right here, and I'm going to do this right now really quick. I hope you guys are not being confused. I'll go to the home dashboard, and we'll go to the settings, go to the edit, and you'll see right here that I am on a PC mode. clearly. It's on the PC mode. It's already highlighted in the PC mode. And the reason we want to do this is to utilize that full range of color space, which is the full RGB. So it's not limited. So you're going to take the full advantage of that console, you know. And in some ways, it's acting like a display port for a PC monitor. And that's the beauty about this TV, that it's really designed to act as a monitor. And this is what LG was telling me about. And I knew about this. You know, I didn't have to, you know, get this information from Vincent Teo or somebody else. I already knew about this. It's just that, to me, I didn't have a PlayStation 5 and Series X at the time, so it didn't really matter to me, you know. And I did test my PC on it and ran perfectly. You've seen me do a bunch of different PC games on this LG C10 along with the flight simulator. So this is the reason why you want to select the PC mode on your input, HDMI input for PlayStation 5 and your Series X. As you can see, I already have it here. So the reason I'm showing you this is so that way you guys have better understanding what this television is capable of. So now let's go back to video output. Honestly, when it comes to RGB range, you can select full because you already know that this console, it's capable of a full range of 444 RGB HDR color output chroma, and you know that you can take that. So back in the days with the old consoles was limited, but even though I know that I can take the full advantage of this, I would still keep it on automatic, along with the resolution as well. Here, the best thing to do is to keep everything on automatic. Don't worry. This television will automatically select the best range, and it's going to know that you got full range RGB 444 capabilities. Okay? So keep everything on automatic here. So now, let's go ahead and let's talk about the settings. The first thing we want to do here on the settings is go to a game mode. The game mode right here. Everything should start at the game mode. Hopefully you guys can see it. And we're going to go to our settings right now really quick. And under the game mode, we're going to go through this really quick. Now, sharpness, it's always set to 10 by LG for some reason. And it doesn't bother me that it's set to 10. But you want to make sure that this whole sharpness, it's set to 0. A lot of people ask, why do you want sharpness to 0? Because, listen, you already have the sharpest possible resolution detail that this TV can squeeze. You outlining that sharpness, it's really not gonna help much except just make the picture look a bit cut out, if you will. So keep the sharpness to 0. Brightness at 50. OLED light contrast, you have to have this at 100 always to take the advantage of HDR. Sharpness is 0. Color, I move the color to 50. Let's move on to the advanced control. Now, here's the one of the most asked questions that I get. It's dynamic tone mapping, DTM. And a lot of people ask me, what should I do? Should I turn this on? Should I turn it off? Should I use the HGIG? Here's the thing. You can use HGIG, but the thing is, there's only few selected games that are taking advantage of this. It's Dirt 5, Astro, and Spider-Man. And we're going to click on Spider-Man really quick just to kind of show you that and talk about that a little bit. So most of the cases you want to use dynamic tone mapping and leave it on, because there's not that many games that support HGIG, and a lot of people ask me about HDR gaming interest group. I know that some people like it, some they don't, but the only reason I don't really care much for HGIG, it's because not many games support HGIG. You know what I mean? We don't have like hundreds of games supporting HGIG. There's maybe a handful, and there's not that many that support it. And I really don't think it helps. It dims the whole experience. You see how brighter now it is with the HGIG? It just dims it down. And I quite honestly don't like that. I like HDR to be brighter. That's the whole idea of HDR, is to be brighter, so that way you can enjoy high dynamic range. Everybody knows that. Even Vincentio knows that hey, peak brightness is the key factor for HDR metadata. And I don't know, even he knows that the tone mapping has to be brighter in order for it to take the advantage of HDR. But he seems to like it for some reason. I don't know why. I prefer it like this. What would you prefer, DTM or HGIG? I really don't know what Vincentio sees with this, with the HGIG. I really don't know. And I'm not trying to pick on a guy. Everybody has their own preference. But man, I prefer this. I want the brighter HDR. This is what I want. Here, maybe I can adjust my exposure. This is what I want. To be brighter instead of being dimmed. This is, I don't know why he wants this, why he likes, but anyway. So, and this is really for some of you who've been bugging me about this whole HDR gaming interest group. I don't think it's really a big deal. There's maybe a handful of games that are using it. I really don't see any benefit. So sue me, you know, but I really don't see any benefit in it. So I would just leave the DTM dynamic tone mapping on. Just leave this on, man, and enjoy the HDR. I don't care what anybody says. HDR requires peak brightness of nits to squeeze that dynamic picture and make it look the way it looks. So that's dynamic tone mapping. Now the white balance, the tone color, color temperature medium, or warm 1 or warm 2. Now this is another dilemma that or argument that when you go to the audio video forums, and I do sometimes, I go to the audio video forums and I try not to spend too much time there, because it's like a ping pong, constant argument, ping pong argument, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Listen, we all have our preferences and we all have our own opinions. That's fine, but warm to, it's good for your eyes. And I'll just say it, warm to color temperature. It's easy on eyes. You can spend more time playing video games with warm to. The reason I suggest warm 1, because warm 1, it's like a nice little balance between a cold blue and yellow warm 2. Almost looks like a sepia, maybe too yellow. But hey, you know, if you, this is really a preference. What I'm trying to say, this is a preference. If you enjoy warm 2 because it's easier on the eyes, go ahead, go for it, you know. And it's also good for the movies as well. For the movies, it's a must. Warm 2 for the movies, because I know you guys been bugging me about this. For the movies, warm 2, it's a must. But I would recommend warm 1 if you ask my honest opinion. But hey, if you want to go to warm 2, that's fine. You know, it's not a big deal. It's not totally yellow like a cat pissing on the snow. It's not like that bad. But this is going to be a preference that's going to be up to you. All right, so let's talk about the peak brightness. The peak brightness I always select it to high because I want to squeeze all of that peak brightness of nits that this OLED can squeeze. So this is always at high. So we covered the advanced controls. Let's go to the picture options. Picture options, what this is, these are the filters. Okay, let me just kind of like run down this whole picture options settings. These are just filters. You know, noise reduction, smooth gradation, MPEG noise reduction. This is just the filters. These filters can also put a lot of strain on the performance when you're playing video games, so this is automatically turned off. This is something you use for like a crappy content, like over-the-air antenna or cable box that has 720p or something like that, or old Blu-ray movies, something like that, right? This is what you can use. You can use these filters. The black levels, honestly, you already got the picture perfect black levels because it's a self-emitting panel, OLED, self-lit panel. So keep this at automatic. True motion eye care, you want to turn this off. You don't need this because you're in the game mode and you want to take the advantage of performance. So let's run down this really quick. This is a HDR game user mode for HDR game, and with these next gen console, it's all gonna be HDR all the time anyway. And this is what I'm using most of the time, all the time actually, for my game preset. OLED light 100, contrast 100, brightness 50, sharpness 0, color 50, tint, you never mess with that, keep it at 0. Advanced controls, we already talked about this. Dynamic tone mapping, I like to keep this on. HGIG really doesn't do much. I just showcased this to you. All it does, it keeps it dimmed, and I really don't like the whole dim thing. It looks like I'm watching a standard dynamic range, some old LCD TV. It really doesn't do anything. Dynamic tone mapping, keep it on, man. It's a big difference. Trust me. That's what you want on HDR. You want to squeeze as much of that peak brightness as you can, right? That's the whole idea. That's the whole idea of high dynamic range. I don't care what Vincent Teo says. I don't care what anybody says. The idea of HDR is to squeeze as much of that peak brightness as possible. That's what HDR requires in order for it to take the full effect. Okay? But I know there's going to be debate about this. So for the last time, HDR gaming interest group, I really never cared. I did a video about them. You know, it's just, does anybody even talk about them anymore, except maybe Vincent Teo? And I hate to bring him up in here, but I don't know what he sees. Is he paid by them to use it? I don't know. Maybe he is paid. I don't know. I think the guy's sponsored up to his eyeballs, and he is. Not that I have anything against him, but I'm simply saying I don't know what is his deal with the HGIG. I really don't see any difference. I don't think it benefits, and there's maybe a handful of games that use that, Call of Duty, this one, but I don't see any. I don't see what he sees. Maybe he has some special kind of glasses or eyes. I don't know. I want this. I don't want this. I don't want to dim down my TV. I want to brighten it up so I can be able to see better and take the full effect of HDR. But hey, you know, this is out for the debate. You guys can go check it out for yourself. It doesn't matter to me. If you want to use it, use it. But I don't recommend. I would just leave it on dynamic tone mapping. But if you want to use it, use it. So leave dynamic tone mapping on. White balance, we already talked about it. You can choose between warm 2 or warm 1. I suggest warm 1, but hey, if you don't want to strain your eyes with a little bit of that bluish temperature, go with the warm 2. Maybe you want to live stream, I don't know, for a long period of time, or maybe you want to play for a long period of time, so keep it at warm 2. There's nothing else really. I think we covered everything there is to cover here. I already talked about the PC mode and why I choose to go with the PC mode. I think there may be some, let me see, instant game response. You want to turn this on, but here's the thing. The instant game response will only take the effect if you are at the 60 Hz 4K. If you are at a 120 Hz, then you really shouldn't be using this. I mean, you can force it, but it's going to flicker. And there's really no reason for you to be using this when you have a 120 Hz refresh rate. This is only mainly for a 4K 60 Hertz to give you that low latency and lower input lag. So I would only turn this on a 4K 60. On my HDMI 4, which is my Xbox Series X, I always have my 120 Hertz forced and turned on. So therefore, I don't need the instant game response. I think I covered everything there is to cover. As far as the FreeSync, I always keep it. I always keep it on premium, regardless. It's always on premium. That's pretty much it. You can see how good this is. But also make sure that you turn the FreeSync on your Xbox Series X. Let's go to the Xbox Series X really quick here. We're going to apply pretty much, we're going to apply the same the same settings that I used here, I'm going to apply it on pretty much all of them. Apply to all inputs. Yes, apply to all inputs. So every input will have all of the exact same settings. Why? So this way you don't have to worry about your Xbox Series X and your PS5 or your Nintendo Switch or whatever, or your PC, right? So this way you know that what you just did here, it will apply to all of the inputs. So let's go quickly to Series X. Here's Series X. Here we are. And we're going to go to settings really quick. TV display. See, I already have it at 120 Hertz. We're going to make sure, we're going to go to the all settings here. We're going to make sure that FreeSync is turned on as well. Premium. And we're going to double check to make sure that our settings are exactly the same. We're going to go click on our settings. Now, you remember, we're not on HDR, but as soon as we click on, let's say Forza, not Forza, let's go to Forza really quick. Forza Horizon, and you're going to see that once the HDR is turned on, the same settings will be applied here as well. You're going to see it. See, game user, there it is. Now, you see it's flickering. Remember how I talked about the instant game response? And how it flickers sometimes when you turn this on. So the best thing to do is to turn it off. Because you have 120 Hertz, is to turn it off. And I'm going to show you really quick how to do that. Just go to the additional settings, instant game response, right here. Start the game. See, it's still flickering. So I guess we're going to have to turn it off. See, this is what I was telling you about. Instant game response, when you have 120 Hertz turned on, it's gonna flicker. So I'm going to turn it off here on HDMI 4. And you see it's going to stop flickering once you turn it off. Ah, it's still flickering. Oh, that's interesting. Let's go to the settings here, and let's go to the TV display option. It's already in 120 Hertz. Hold on. Put it to 10-bit. I'm not sure why it's flickering, quite honestly. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Let me go to the settings again. I found a little bit of a problem with the Xbox Series X. There seems to be a flickering happening here for some reason. I don't know why. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's a little flicker that happens. See the flickering right there? And I don't know why it's doing it and what could be causing this. Let me see. Let me check something here really quick. The FreeSync, it's active. I have it turned on, but there seems to be a lot of flickering. If you guys can see it at the bottom, seems to be, I mean, now it's fine. Then it stops. Not sure why this is happening, honestly. Let me check something else. Auto HDR. Allow auto latency mode, 50 Hertz. Should I turn this off? Let me see, 422. They're gonna, no. Let me try and restart a console and see what happens. It shouldn't be doing this. Maybe something with a FreeSync. Let me go check it out. Additional settings. There goes the Xbox. So I'm not sure what the deal is with the flickering, honestly. Why it's doing that. This is something I'll have to look into and figure out what the deal is. If you guys have any ideas, please do let me know. So there you have it. I hope this video gives you my game settings recommendation, and utilize those settings, implement them, try it out for yourself, and let me know what you think. But as far as this flickering, I have no idea if it's Xbox or if it's my LG OLED. I think it's the Xbox. I'll probably have to, let me see. I'll probably have to unplug it and plug it back in, see what happens. Alright, so I turned off my console, I unplugged it, plugged it back in. Let's see what happens. I think it's this instant game response that's causing this, honestly. It just doesn't work well with 120 Hz refresh rate. I think I know what's going on. I think you'll see. I'll show you in a minute. Go to the additional settings, instant game response, turn it off. Just turn it off. There, and you'll see, hold on, and also FreeSync, turn off the FreeSync as well. That's what's causing it, is like an instant game response and the FreeSync. I think that's what's causing it. Where's the FreeSync? Turn it off. For some reason it's just not working well on 120 Hz Xbox Series X. And look, there's no more flickering. So now we know what the problem was. Now we know what the deal was. So you got to turn off the FreeSync and you got to turn off the instant game response. It works well on a PlayStation, but it doesn't work well on Series X at 120 Hz. I don't know why. What that deal is. Maybe there's going to be an update from Microsoft to fix this problem. Maybe you guys can report this to Microsoft and Microsoft can look into it. It works well on PlayStation. Like there's no issues on PlayStation. It works well, but for some reason on Xbox Series X seems to be an issue. Here, let me click the green button. See, now it's fixed. See, it doesn't utilizes the FreeSync Premium from LG, and it's also not utilizing instant game response with 120 Hz. So it seems to have a problem when it's at 120 Hz 4K. The FreeSync doesn't work with the LG OLED for some reason. I think you're still getting the FreeSync information. As you can see it over here, you're still getting the FreeSync feedback, but this is an issue with Xbox Series X. Maybe you guys can dig more into this and find out what the deal is with Xbox Series X and FreeSync and instant game response. This only happens with 120 Hz when it's selected to 4K, and 120 Hz seems to have this issue. Let's go back to PlayStation 5. We're on. We pretty much have the same settings as we do here. The only difference is obviously the FreeSync here. It's available, and we have the FreeSync here. You'll see it. We have it. It's on HDMI 3. We also have instant game response. It's on HDMI 3, but on Xbox Series X, we don't have it. It's not utilizing it for some reason. And let's go check the information. You know. So I don't know what the deal is. I think you're still getting that FreeSync on Xbox Series, but it's just not utilizing it properly. Alright, we need to edit this. I'll do that later. So, I know it's a long video, but I did find some problems here and there with the Xbox version as far as the FreeSync and an instant game response time. It seems to flicker, seems to be a conflict with 120 Hz refresh rate. This could be fixed with a firmware update from LG. Maybe you guys can bring this to Vincent Teo. He can look into it. You know, he can go into depth and look into this, and you guys can share this video. And so I know it's a long video, but there you have it. I promised I was going to bring you this, and if you guys have any questions, leave a comment down below, and I'll talk more about this on a live stream. You know, there's only so much I can do in a video here, so let me know what you guys think. You know, what's going on with the Series X version. Is this the LG issue? I think this is the LG compatibility, 120 Hz. This could be easily fixed with a firmware update from LG, okay? But make no mistake, you are getting 120 Hz refresh rate, and you are getting a FreeSync here. It's just there seems to be a conflict when the FreeSync's being outputted with a variable refresh rate. Now it's fixed, and I think this can be fixed by having a firmware update. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think, what are your thoughts, etc., etc. Sorry for the long video, but I hope it helps.